Hey guys, we're going to go ahead and review for the Great Depression exam that we have coming up next week. So here's the review. Let's go ahead and complete that. Well, of course, I'm going to complete that for you. Okay. All right, so number one, what were some causes of the Dust Bowl? All right, so there were some natural causes and then there were some causes due to poor farming practices, right? So we're gonna go ahead and start off by putting a series, oh, it's all on caps. A series of dust storms started like that, right? And droughts. And then we're gonna put some of the poor farming practices such as deep flowing and then over cropping, okay? And I did forget to put that all in red, so you're gonna have to do that. And you don't have to choose red, you can do a different color if you want, as long as it's not yellow. But I do need it in a different color because it's easier for me to grade and I could just give you an easy 100 if I see that all the answers are complete versus trying to distinguish between your answers and the question that are all in black. All right, number 2 says, using the map above, identify states that are considered part of the Dust Bowl. So this is the Dust Bowl region. So we're gonna go ahead and put, well, northern Texas, right? And then Oklahoma for sure, because we know that the farmers that left Oklahoma or left this region were called Okies, right? After Oklahoma. And then, and Kansas. So I'm okay with just those 3 because those are the 3 main states where most of the Dust Bowl happened. Number 3, where did most farmers, Okies, go to escape the Dust Bowl and find work? All right, so we could put a direction or a state. I'm going to go ahead and put west to California. Okay, make those red. And it does not need to be in a complete sentence. I actually prefer if it wasn't in a complete sentence because it's just easier for me to identify the answers instead of having to read a long sentence and then pick out the words that I need. Number 4, what benefits did the Hoover Dam have on Nevada and surrounding states? What benefits did the Hoover Dam have on that area? Okay, so it provided these states with, I would say, water, right? Clean water and hydroelectricity. I don't know why I capitalized hydro. All right, next one, number 5. What was authorized by President Herbert Hoover to reduce job competition in California for incoming farmers of the Great Plains, the Okies? It was an act that sent Mexicans back to Mexico, right? Even if they were American citizens. So that's the Mexican Repatriation Act. Okay, of 1930. All right, next one. Number 6. What was the Reconstruction Finance Corporation bill that was passed by Herbert Hoover? Who did it help and how? All right, so it provided loans for small businesses, banks, and railroad companies that were drug, right? Wait, hold on. So they can provide jobs for people. Number 7. How was Herbert Hoover viewed by the American people during the Great Depression? Explain why. I did tell you guys that Americans lost confidence in him, right? Americans lost confidence in him during his time in office because he took too long to implement programs and effective policies to help people recover from the recession. So a recession is just another name for depression. You know, the economy isn't doing well. Things have slowed down, things like that. Okay, this next portion right here. It says label the following New Deal programs or acts. All right, so the first one, under this program, U.S. bank deposits are insurance by the federal government up to $250,000 today. So what is the law that guarantees insurance on people's bank deposits if a bank fails? All right, so that is the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, right? The FDIC. Number 9, it was a commission that regulated the offer and sale of securities, stocks through the stock market. It protects against fraud. All right, so the one that basically monitors the stock market to prevent another crash, that is the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC. The next one, it was a federal planning agency that provided jobs and helped improve the economic development of the Tennessee Valley region by providing hydroelectric power, flood control, etc. All right, so that is the Tennessee Valley Authority, which is TVA. 11, it provided government benefits to the elderly, disabled, impoverished, unemployed, retirees, and single parents. What was that? That is the Social Security Act. You know what? This whole thing can be read. Number 12, what were 2 New Deal programs that brought relief to people in the form of jobs? All right, so we'll go ahead and put Civilian Conservation Corps, which is the CCC. That's the one that hired the young men to work in conservation. And then the other one would be, another good one could be the Public Works Administration. PWA. "13, what are two New Deal policies that are still around today?" All right, so these four up here are still around today. So we'll go ahead and put, I don't know, federal insurance, federal deposit, FDIC, insurance corporation. Or if you want to abbreviate it, I'm okay with that, as long as you know what it stands for. And then another one could be the Social Security Act. "14, explain FDR's first 100 days in office." He passed 15 New Deal laws that created jobs, help businesses recover. I am not paying attention here. And reformed the economy. "15, in what way did FDR communicate with the American public to keep them informed of progress during the Great Depression?" So the way he communicated live through those radio messages, I would say fireside chats, right? "16, why was President Franklin Roosevelt viewed as a dictator by some people?" Okay, I'm gonna put on here, he was very authoritarian. It's like I forgot how to spell. And constantly overstepped his executive authority. You know, he is the executive branch, right? So he was just always taking advantage of his position as president, as the, you know, head of the executive branch, was very persistent, did not like to take no for an answer. So some people said that he did kind of act like a dictator. 17, what was one New Deal program that was rejected or declared unconstitutional by the Supreme Court? I'm going to go ahead and put the Agricultural Adjustment Act, the one that was supposed to help farmers. What bill did President Franklin Roosevelt propose to Congress that would reform, that would change the judicial branch in his favor? That is the Judicial Reorganization Bill, or court packing plan. If successfully passed, how would this court packing plan reform the judicial branch, the Supreme Court? So it would force anyone over 70 to retire, and it would allow him to appoint more justices. That means judges to the Supreme Court from 9 to 15. From 9 to 15 members. What amendment was passed as a result of FDR's abuse of executive authority? It would put term limits on future presidents. All right, so that one is an amendment, and it is the 22nd. What is the significance of the date October 29, 1929? That is stock market crashed. Whoops. Stock market crash. We're going to put here Black Tuesday. We're almost done. Hang in there. 22, label the causes of the Great Depression. All right, so you got overproduction, credit installment plans, bad banking practices, over speculation, and the Hawley-Smoot tariff. Okay. Here we go. This tariff, tax on imported goods, passed by Herbert Hoover, caused trade to decline with other countries by 50%. So that is the Hawley-Smoot tariff. Oh my goodness. I hope that's it. Yesterday I sneezed 15 times, like in one morning. Okay, second one. People abused this new buying power of the 1920s, and it caused them to get into a lot of debt that they couldn't afford to pay off. All right, so that is credit installment plans. Credit installment plans. Whew, I'm tired. Third one, industries stopped paying attention to the laws of supply and demand and instead continue to produce manufactured items at a high rate, even though consumer demand had decreased drastically by the end of the 1920s. So that is overproduction. Next one, people were making guesses or assumptions with stock prices in the stock market and caused the stock market to eventually crash. All right, so that is over speculation. So I emphasize speculation a lot, but I didn't emphasize over speculation, and it's the same thing. It's just, you know, it's exaggerated. Like it was to an extreme that people were, you know, taking this whole like guessing game to a whole other level. So over speculation in the stock market. Banks were investing depositors' savings money in the stock market and lost it all when the market crashed. So bad banking practices. Almost done. 23. How did charities provide assistance to people in need during the Great Depression? Two examples. Let's go ahead and put bread lines and soup kitchens. 24, where did most people live if they lost their home due to unemployment during the Great Depression? Where did most people live? Named after the president. Hoovervilles. Shantytowns. How did Eleanor Roosevelt influence politics during her husband's time in office? She was very involved. Went to rallies, gave speeches, was head of the United Nations. Where's my spell check? And was constantly by her husband's side as his advisor. '26, what eventually put an end to the Great Depression by creating millions of jobs in 1941? Remember what I told you, what ended the Great Depression? It wasn't FDR, it wasn't his New Deal policies, even though that helped a lot because the Depression could have worsened. It was World War II. Okay. Because World War II created all the jobs that we really needed, naturally. 27, how did the federal government put an end to laissez-faire during the Great Depression? What changes were made to businesses or industries? All right, so how did the government put an end to laissez-faire? The government, I'm going to abbreviate it, became more involved in the lives of Americans when FDR, or what the government, began implementing New Deal programs and policies that would aid people. One more thing that's important. What changes were made? He began to put regulations, restrictions on businesses. That would monitor the economy. So let me go ahead and delete this first part because that isn't exactly what I need. This is the best part. All right, so he began to put regulations and restrictions on businesses that would monitor or regulate the economy. Okay. And our last one. As a result of FDR's New Deal programs, did people become more or less dependent on the federal government after the 1930s? So think about it. He's giving people more and more programs, more benefits, things that they can use and live off of. And I think that since the 1930s, we have definitely become more dependent on the government. Kind of an expectation now. Whenever the economy goes down, whenever we go through a recession, whenever we lose our job or anything like that, we go to the government for aid and we expect to get it, right? So, because they offer it. So we have become more dependent. People have become more dependent on the federal government. All right, that's it. We are done. Thank you for sticking by throughout this entire video, even though I'm sure some of you guys just fast forwarded or muted me and just wrote down the answers. As long as you get it done, okay? Have a great day. Good luck on your test, okay?